what are the new and emerging career options for lawyers and how can they develop the skills for that. Now, if you really look at what lawyering meant through, let's say, the 1950s, you will see that earlier people just wanted to practice in courts, and arguing in a court, litigating was really what being a lawyer meant. After 1990s, you would see that, owing to the liberalization, the Indian economy opened up. So earlier, what was considered to be license raj and all, businessmen had to actually, do a lot of lobbying, be connected to the politicians to get a license to do business. So that wasn't within the realm of lawyers, and corporate law work was very little. After the economy opened up, it became easier for people to do business. Two new kinds of work emerged. What is that? That is compliance with the laws. So obtaining a registration, filing a return, that is compliance work. Okay. Second, contract related work became easier because there was more business happening. So there were transactions, and these transactions had to be documented legally. So contract related work increased. Now this gave rise to the expansion of corporate law firms and commercial laws practice. So if you look at corporate law firms prior to 1990 and after 1990, you will see that law firms in India have expanded in a huge way after 1990. In fact, the growth trajectories of these firms will show you how the gains from 2000 to 2010 and 2010 to 2015 have been even bigger than what happened from 1990 to 2000. Okay, that's because this market was then exploding. Now, if you want to be a corporate lawyer or a successful lawyer today, the question for you is that what really are the opportunities you should chase? So if you want to work in a company or in a corporate law firm which is already there, which is already top notch, or you want to work in a boutique law firm, you can definitely pick up those subjects. Like if you want to be an M&A lawyer, you can work at the best law firms which do M&A work by learning M&A. But if you want to start your own practice, or if you want to emerge into a new type of area, okay, then you will need to pick your area carefully. You cannot think of just starting out an M&A law practice and hope to beat, AZB or Amarchand or Luthra in a few years' time, right? So what do you need to do? You need to identify a gap in the market which is not served by lawyers today. So if you go to a business person and ask that what are the challenges you face with lawyers, he will tell you that work he considers to be legal, but what lawyers are not performing right now. And you might realize that there is a very valid pain point that businessman is facing. And if you talk to enough number of people, you will identify patterns that a lot more people are facing. Okay, and these may involve use of skills around a new area of law. For example, there may be some needs around CSR related compliance that businesses may face, or when in 2013 the sexual harassment of women at workplace was passed. At that time, there is a whole new kind of legal work that emerged, which many consultants and law firms started taking up. Now, that work was not restricted to the straight-jacketed notion of providing advice as a corporate lawyer or going to court or performing a compliance alone. There were aspects like training and in large companies even creating standard operating procedures, which lawyers or consultants in this area performed. Now, many lawyers do not consider this to be a part of legal work, but non-lawyers find it very difficult to do it. So maybe 10 or 20% of your legal brain is involved, and beyond that you are using your understanding of communication, people skills, knowledge of processes, all of that. But it is still a service that is expected from a lawyer, and where there's a gap in the market which you as a lawyer can provide. So what is important here is that the next 10 years are going to throw up a lot of new areas of law which you will discover, and each one of you are in a position to identify which such new areas are. And the best way to identify these are from your own personal experiences. When we started LawSikho, I and Ramanuj had our own personal experiences of not having any access to great corporate law study materials, okay, and of having to follow generic advice that read pink newspapers and you'll crack law firm interviews. That didn't work, and that was the best possible advice that was available. So we realized that there's an opportunity here, and we decided that that we want to work on it because it troubled us enough. When you speak to people and you identify patterns in the problems they are facing, or you face a problem personally, that might be a good way to shortlist that problem to work on. Okay, and then you can choose to work on what you're passionate about. And then comes the area of how to develop the skills for it. But before you even start there, the identification of this new area is important. Now, most people would dismiss most of these areas as not being legal, okay, not a lawyer's job. But you'll be surprised that the coming times are throwing up these areas where maybe lawyers need to take training sessions, they need to be on calls with people, and all these kinds of work are way more time consuming, require more planning than the actual drafting work that you do at a court, or contract drafting work, or arguing, all of that. Okay, so the notion of lawyering is not set in stone, and it is flexible, and today it is changing. The question for you to consider is that how you are going to personalize it. Okay, and many of you might feel that you don't fit the traditional notion. But guess what? The traditional notion is not the truth. It is changing, and you can use it in a way that works for you. There are many examples. For example, if you want to be involved in training, okay, training of other lawyers requires you to be at the cutting edge of your work. If we train young lawyers to grow their practice, or we train managers in different teams like HR teams or procurement teams on how to draft contracts better, we have to be at the cutting edge of things. Now that requires immense understanding of law and drafting, and many experienced lawyers are not able to do that. But we are into training. We are not full-time practicing lawyers. But that doesn't mean we are not lawyering. Similarly, if you are helping other lawyers build their online presence by performing certain content marketing related activities, or helping them set up blogs and writing on very niche topics about their practice areas, that's unique, and that is actually the need of the hour, because that is the pain point the market is facing. Or if you set up, let's say, a communication system which litigators can use to inform their clients of the latest updates, and it's like a CRM system maybe that litigators use for their existing clients to update them of the matters, the latest order, the next date of hearing, and that enhances the service they are providing to their clients. That's your way you use lawyering. Maybe you use a lot more technology in it later, maybe you build a company around it, but that is what the lawyers of the next few years are required to invent for other lawyers to do their work better. So the question is, are you open to these opportunities? Because if you are, then you can discover them and cash in on them. Let me know what you think after watching this video. We look forward to receiving your inputs and comments. Cheers.